So you're thinking about buying a home in Allen, Texas, and you want to know the good and the bad, the pros and the cons, the yin and the yang of living in Allen, Texas. And that's exactly what we're going to cover today. So we're going to get into what makes Allen good and what makes Allen maybe not so good if you're thinking about buying a home or maybe making a move there and you're coming from out of state. In this video, we're going to talk about all the things that are going on in Allen. Now, Allen is about 20 minutes north of Dallas, about northeast of Dallas, straight shot up I-75. Now, one of the things Allen is known for, which we'll cover here in a little bit, is the shopping. I mean, there is a ton of shopping options there, but overall, there's a lot happening in Allen, and we're just going to get into it right now. Hey, if this is your first time to the channel and you want to know everything there is about living in Dallas, Texas and the surrounding areas like Allen, then subscribe below, tap the bell for notifications so you can be the first to learn about the current market here in Dallas. My name is Levi, my partner Travis, and the team and I get calls, texts, emails every single day, and we absolutely love it. So whether you're moving in 9 days or 90 days, feel free to give us a call, shoot us a text, or send us an email, or even schedule a Zoom call, all in the description below. Happy to help you make that smooth move to Dallas. So as I mentioned, we're going to be discussing Allen, Texas, the good and the bad of everything that's going on, and I like Allen quite a bit. There's some amazing properties there, but more importantly, lots of shopping and lots of dining. So here's the deal. Allen's about 100,000 people in population, give or take. Now, that's relatively small when you look at some of the other areas like Frisco and Plano, even McKinney, but Allen is right behind there, considered the fourth largest area in Collin County. Collin County is just north of Dallas County, and that's where people determine, or people say these are the suburbs, right? Whenever you get outside of Dallas County, although there are suburbs around Dallas, of course, but Allen, very well known for shopping, high school football, and good homes in a smaller community. So if you like Frisco or McKinney, by the way, if you haven't seen our other videos on Frisco and McKinney, you should definitely check those out. We take you through full vlog tours, and I mean, we have a ton of videos on all those other areas. But if you're kind of narrowing it down to Allen, then some things to consider. A lot of similarities to all of those areas, but just a little bit smaller. And so it gives people a little bit more of a homey feel, right? Like they get to know everyone around there. And you'll probably end up going to some of the same little areas, same shops. Of course, once you establish your neighborhood inside of Allen, then you just develop more of a community sense there. But let's just get into some of the top pros of living in Allen, Texas. All right, one of the top pros in Allen, which by the way, this is just in the state of Texas in general, is no state income tax. This is really for you out-of-towners. If you're thinking about making that move into the area, that's something to keep in mind. No state income tax. So that is of course going to be based upon your income. So I know something that people always talk about is the property taxes. That's something they're always concerned about, but we offset that with no state income tax. On top of that, you can apply for homestead exemptions. If you're a veteran, we have disability exemptions. By the way, if you're 100% disabled veteran, your property taxes are completely taken care of. So that is a huge benefit. As far as I know, only Texas and Florida are the only two states that do that have 100% exemption for 100% disabled veterans. So that's something you definitely want to keep in mind. But otherwise, I would say Allen's on the lower side when you look at the overall tax rate as far as properties go, averaging around 2.3%. So that's just something to keep in mind. Another quick pro about Allen is pretty much everything's in your backyard. So 75 splits Allen right in half, and you have so much going on right there along 75, so you're not going to have to travel far to get to much. If you think about the airport, if you're going to be a frequent traveler, that's going to be roughly about 30 to 40 minutes to get to the airport on any given day. Now, maybe add 10 to 20 minutes based on traffic, but again, this is where we always talk about the Waze app. I mean, I love the Waze app. I use it to get all over the Metroplex, especially whenever I want to get somewhere on time. That's very important because it's never let me down. Pretty amazing. I love technology these days. It's awesome. So the Waze app is a great way if you're going to catch a flight, just put that in there, program it. You can even program the day before and it will tell you when you need to leave your house. All right, so other great things about Allen, and we're going to get into some details here, but there's a lot of recreational places for everyone. It's home to 2 award-winning golf courses, 67 parks and trails, and almost 80 miles of bike and hiking trails. It's ideal for people who love to go to the lake, and it has a low cancer occurrence and a lower mortality rate, and the literacy rate is very high. So let's get into the detailed list. Let's first start with safety. Now, this is something that is important to everyone. They want to know how safe is it going to be in the area I'm going to move to. Now, Allen is considered one of the safest cities in the country. In fact, Dwellix Analytics team has assigned Allen, Texas a score of 83.3 out of 100 for safety. This takes into consideration air quality, water quality, crime rates, natural disaster frequency, substance abuse rates, and cancer instances. But further than being a safe place to live, it's also a healthier place to live. Interestingly, Allen has the lowest cancer instances in the United States, and substance abuse is the lowest in the country as well. But you want to check out the website Dwellix for all of these analytics. That's where we're pulling it from. So just something to keep in mind. All right, the next great thing about Allen is everything is pretty much right in your backyard as far as what you need to get access to. Shopping centers and large malls are located there in Allen. Now, people come from all over Dallas to go, especially to the outlet mall in Allen. And there's any kind of shop that you need that is nearby, ranging from grocery, clothing, electronics, and everything in between. There's lots of great restaurants in Allen. Just to name a few that are very popular by the locals, they love Sunview Cafe, Uncle Julio's, Village Burger Bar, Torchy's Tacos, the Cheesecake Factory, and the Bluefish. And I tell you what, my personal favorite, the Bluefish sushi restaurant, absolutely amazing. And Torchy's Tacos. Torchy's, I believe, originated down in Austin, Texas. And I tell you what, it's just a great place for a quick bite, but seems like they do things pretty healthy over there for a taco shop, so not too shabby. And I love the queso. It's absolutely amazing. But when it comes to shopping, I mean, not only is Allen's probably most well known for the outlet mall. That's where everybody loves to go to get a great discount. But actually, just even all around in that area, you could go to the outlet mall. You could go to the Village. You could go to the Allen Shopping Center. You could go to Waters Creek. You could go to Twin Creeks. You could go to the Antique Mall. And there's many, many more. I could go on and on. But just look up shopping in Allen, Texas, and you're going to get a full list of everything you need. But by far, the outlet mall is going to be the most popular. And then even Waters Creek. Actually, if you haven't checked out our full vlog tour on Allen, that's where we kind of start out, in the Waters Creek area. That's a cool little community where you can park, and then you could go walk around and eat, drink, and be happy for several hours or even all day. So you know, it's a cool little spot that they've developed over there in Allen. Gives it that kind of sense of you know, cool place to just do everything in once. But you go over to the outlet malls, you could be shopping for hours and hours and hours there. So by far, I think Allen is probably one of the best shopping destinations in the Dallas area. Now, of course, I mentioned the airport a little bit earlier. It's only about 30 minutes. So if you're a frequent traveler, you're not going to have too much trouble getting over there, because you'll just bop up over to probably 121, take 121 directly over into the north entrance of the airport. And of course, being in Dallas, we are in the central time zone, which I absolutely love, because we travel quite a bit for our real estate company, going to conferences and opportunities that we have come up everywhere. And so the cool thing is that you're really only a couple of hours, 2 to 3 hours to get to the West Coast, 2 to 3 hours to get to the East Coast, a couple of hours to get up north to Chicago if you need to, Florida, a couple of hours. And you don't get thrown off by the time zone changes, because we are central time zone. Then it makes it very easy to just travel. You're typically only going off an hour or two, depending on which coast you go to. So I love living here in Dallas just for that reason, because frequent travel. Oh, plus I can bop down to the Caribbean within a couple of hours. I mean, Mexico is a couple of hours away, Belize, the Bahamas. I mean, it's awesome. And a lot of direct flights. I mean, Dallas pretty much has direct flights to everywhere. So that's something that I absolutely love, is a direct flight. Last thing I'd love to do, actually, I don't love it at all, is a connection. All right. Direct flights all the way, number one. So let's go. All right, the next great thing about Allen is access to all the outdoor activities. I mean, I tell you what, you are a stone's throw away from 4 different lakes in the Dallas area. And this is something we've talked about a lot on this channel, is that, okay, we don't have the beach and we don't have the mountains, so you're gonna have to forgive us for that. But we make that up with the lake life. We love going to the lake here. That's what I grew up on, still go to this day. And you've got access to 4 different different lakes, all within 10 to 30 minutes of Allen, so that makes it very easy. For example, you can get over to Louisville Lake, Lake Ray Hubbard, Grapevine, and of course Lake Lavon is going to be the closest lake and has a ton of nature trails surrounding it. If you check out our vlog on Lucas, then you'll see that's next door to Allen, and then of course that next door to Lavon Lake. Lake Ray Hubbard, you see that in a couple of our Rockwall or Rowlett videos. And then if you get over to Louisville Lake, of course, check out the Louisville vlog and you're going to see that as well. And then Grapevine Lake, we feature that in, I'm not sure, maybe South Lake or Grapevine. I'm not sure which video we did that in, or Flower Mound maybe, I don't know. One of those. No matter what you're looking for, we've got a video on it likely. And if we haven't, let us know in the comments if we've missed an area. I know we've missed a couple, but we try to be as extensive as possible to get out as much as possible. So let us know if we missed an area you want to see on this channel, and we'll definitely hit that up. But there's also many other parks in Allen, 67 to be exact. And here's a couple of the most popular ones. The Don Rodenbaugh Natatorium, an enclosed water park with a huge pool and rock climbing wall. Then you got Hydrus, a wakeboard complex located in the Allen Station Park. Then you have Allen Celebration Park, a huge space for games like soccer and baseball, and has a playground, horseshoes, picnic areas, hiking trails, and more. And then you have golfing at Water Creek, a huge golf course with 33 holes, a driving range, banquet facilities, and more. All right, now if you have kids in school, then you're going to pretty much like Allen as well. It's one of the top rated areas in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and especially for high school football. I mean, there's been some players coming out of Allen. So Friday Night Lights, that's the real deal here in Texas. I grew up in a couple hours south of Dallas in Stephenville, Texas. We have a college in my hometown of Stephenville. We played at the college stadium, and every Friday night we would pack it out. They would have overflow. People would be standing at the end zones, and then the college would come play on Saturday, and there'd be like 10 people in the stands. Sorry guys, but that's just the way it was. Friday Night Lights, the real deal. That's what people absolutely love. I grew up with it, and I tell you what, if you got any kids in a football program, and really any sports, I mean, Texas takes their sports very seriously, and I tell you what, it's hard to go wrong. If your kids are in football, if you're making that move to Texas, they're going to absolutely love it. And then we've turned so many people pro coming out of Texas, and especially the collegiate level as well. So don't worry about it. They've got you covered when it comes to education. So Allen holds a high value on educational standards, are much higher according to Allen, EDC, and other parts of the country. So Niche Schools Review gave it an A+ rating and placed the school system as number 8 in the state of Texas. 90.5% of Allen graduates go on to higher education, and students in Allen, Texas get 176 points higher on their SAT scores than the national average. Elementary and middle schools have a higher proficiency in math and English. As a matter of fact, Allen has produced Spelling Bee and National STEM competition finalists. The literacy rate is high, the standards are high, the test scores are high, and the proficiency is high. In short, the educational is phenomenal according to everything that you can look up online. Niche.com, greatschools.org, and several other sites will have this data and information, so do your research on the schools. What's more is that the high school in Allen puts a huge value on sports. Now, there are more than 100 students competing in 25 different sports each year. They have a tradition of winning and work to excel in sportsmanship, teamwork, scholarship, competition, and community. Some of the sports they participate in are basketball, volleyball, baseball, track, field, soccer, cross country, tennis, wrestling, swimming, and of course, football. All right, unfortunately, the time has come whenever we got to talk about the downsides of Allen, Texas. All right, first of all, we're just going to come out with it, and that's probably the weather. You know, I mean, this is what the biggest complaint. However, you can't really escape that. You're not going to get over to Frisco or McKinney, and the weather's going to be that much better. Not at all. It's just hot here in Dallas during the summer. Now, I don't know. I grew up in it, so I'm acclimated to the weather here. I don't think it's that bad. I like it. Now, this last summer was a little toasty, all right? A little bit toasty for my taste, but that's why we go to the lake. That's why we go to the pool, and we jump in, we cool off. You know, if you've got those remote start vehicles, you start those whenever you're coming out of the store. And the thing is that whenever you're parking, if you're going shopping or doing any type of errands, you always look for the shade, okay? That's the parking hack, is you want to find a tree. You'll notice how there will be a lot of empty spots around the parking lot, and then if you look around the edges of the parking lot where normally they plant trees, everybody will be in those spots because they'll go and park underneath a tree because they'd rather walk an extra couple of minutes and have their vehicle not be a volcano erupting by the time they get back to it. But that's just a little. And then also notice where you park. If you've got tint on the back side of your car, like on the back windows in the back of your car, then park with your back facing the sun. So that's also another little hack, unless you have one of those sun visors you can throw up there in the windshield. So June, July, August, mainly July and August, pretty toasty here in the Dallas area. But I tell you what, the rest of the year, absolutely beautiful. It only really gets cold January and February. And so this is something that as soon as September, October, November, December, it's like an extended fall for us here. And then March, April, May, June is pretty much like an extended spring. So I love that because that's 8 months of pretty good weather typically. Usually, don't hold me exactly to that science, but for me, I think 8 out of the 12 months, that's the best time. Now, I don't mind the summer, but July and August gets pretty hot. So that gives me 10 months of good weather. And then January and February are really up and down because that's where it starts to get a little bit questionable going on here in the Dallas area is January and February, and always around February 14th, like Valentine's Day, there's always some weird weather event happening. So that's whenever we'll see some temperatures drop. We might get a freezing day here or two. I mean, we don't really typically drop below 32 in the area. And if we do, it may be once or twice a year. So that's just something to keep in consideration. Now, the thing is that a lot of people, we had this big winter storm. By the way, we did a video on, does it snow in Texas, which you could check out too. Yes, in 2021, we had that freak storm come through. It dumped a ton of snow, probably the most snow I've ever seen here in my life in the Dallas area. And then it froze, and it froze for a whole week. I mean, I've never seen that before, ever. And is what it is. Now, was there some power grid issues throughout the state somewhere? Yeah, but I don't know. My neighborhood didn't get affected, and I'm pretty close to downtown Dallas. And as far as I know, a lot of other areas in the Dallas area, held on to that. So, we get some feedback. People heard a lot of things in the news about Texas' whole power system is going to fail and anytime it gets cold here. And that's just not the case. Okay. I've been here practically my whole life. And for the last 20 plus years here just in Dallas, and I've never seen anything like that. And still, like I said, my house wasn't affected. My neighbors, the neighborhood, a lot of the areas we were working with clients, Frisco, McKinney, Allen, all these areas, they didn't lose power, and so can anything happen? Yes. Can any storm throw something out of whack? Absolutely. Is Texas, I think, one of the best states reinvesting money into improvements? Absolutely. I trust Texas over most other states to put our tax money into good use, most of it at least. I know everybody still wastes quite a bit. But that's a whole nother discussion. This is not necessarily the politics channel, so we won't get into any of that. But otherwise, yes, weather, like I said, July, August, pretty toasty. September, October, November, December, very nice. January, February, very iffy. It could be 70 one day, 30 the next day. That's what throws people off a lot, gets them sick sometimes. I don't know, I haven't been sick in forever, so pretty good immune system, by the way. But, that's just something to keep in mind. But other than that, I love it here. And other than the lack of beaches and mountains, I do wish I could see more of that, but that's why we got the lakes. And speaking of the next con, I would say that would be it, is that, no mountains, no beach, and not a lot of elevation changes. There's not even many hills or much going on in Allen. It's just kind of flat, which is typically the case with the rest of Dallas. It's not till you get south outside of Dallas that you start to hit the borderline of hill country, they call it. And of course, the further you get to San Antonio and Austin, that's where it just kind of runs out whenever you get to the Dallas area. So that would be a major con for me, is no mountains, no beach. But we do have quite a bit of elevation changes all around the Metroplex. So mostly around the lakes, especially when you get down to the southwest area, which we did that like on a Cedar Hill vlog, by the way, if you check that out. And so you get down there around these lakes, there's a lot of hiking and biking trails that have quite a bit of elevation changes, can be very challenging. And so I think that's a lot of fun to go do that. Plus, just south of you in Plano is Oak Point, Oak Grove, or Oak Point. I always get it mixed up. I think it's Oak Point Point Park. And that's like over 800 acres just south of you in Allen that you can access. They've got zip lining, hiking, bike, all kinds of stuff in that park. I mean, that's a ton of acreage to go in there and explore and have some fun with. So yes, no mountains and beach, but you've got a lot of things that you can make up for that. All right, another big con of Allen is going to be the lack of transportation. Public transportation, I should say. Yeah, nobody has cars in Allen, Texas. No, I mean, anywhere in Dallas, pretty much, not very well known for its public transportation. The DART rail runs out right around Plano, actually, so you'd have to go down to Plano if you want to get on the DART rail and take that to downtown Dallas. Now, if you've got easy access to the DART rail, it's a pretty okay system to get you, if you don't want to get stuck in traffic or you're not a big commuter. Actually, we'll have, maybe by the time you see this one, we'll have a video on this new listing in Carrollton we just did, which is awesome because it's about a block away from the historic downtown of Carrollton, but that also puts it right on top of the DART rail, and it can go to the airport, it can go to downtown Dallas, it can go over to Addison. And so that's pretty cool. It gives you access, and that would be a place, if you live close to the downtown area of Carrollton, where, maybe if you didn't have a car, you could survive around there. But otherwise, the rest of the Metroplex in Allen, you're probably going to need a car, okay? And if you're not a big driver, you're going to have a ton of Uber bills if you try to go that route. Biking, I will say, this is another negative of the Metroplex, of Dallas, of Allen, of all of these areas. We don't put a lot of emphasis on bikers. The thing is, we don't have a lot of dedicated biking lanes, safe biking lanes. That's why I don't like to bike on the streets, because I don't like it. I trust me, I just don't trust other people driving around, especially with everybody on their phones these days. Now, there's a lot of trails that are behind the scenes, like that run through. We have a ton of trails, bike trails that are paved off the beaten path. All you have to do is worry about some intersections you may cross, which I think that's great. I'll bike on those all day long because I can stop at an intersection, but I don't like to bike on the street because hardly anywhere, even downtown Dallas, is not that great. There are some bike lanes around downtown Dallas, but it's not as extensive as like when you go to New York or Chicago in particular, where they dedicate lanes. And I think in DC, they actually have the cars have to park here, and then the bike lane is in between the cars and the sidewalk, which gives bikers a great deal of protection. So I just think other areas throughout the country put a lot of emphasis on bike lanes and public transportation. Not so much here. We like our big trucks and we like to drive, everywhere. So that's not a big con for me because I like to drive. And Travis, he's got a big truck, I've got the smaller one. But yes, we do like our trucks here. We like to cruise. But otherwise, lack of public transportation and public biking, I would say, is a huge con. Last con, I would say, in Allen, although not really a big con, but I would say, the housing, as far as dated housing, there's a couple, not very much new construction areas in Allen, but otherwise, it's really not too bad. There's definitely a lot of new homes coming up on the market, new construction, but not as much as you're going to see in Plano, in McKinney, in Prosper and Salina, of course. By the way, we got videos on Prosper and Salina as well. The thing is that you still can get affordable housing. Now, the lowest priced home on the market at this time is $300,000 in Allen. Okay, not too bad. 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Highest price home on the market is $3.395. All right, so $3,395,000, and that's about the height that you're going to get in Allen as well. So if you've got a budget that high, well, then that's where you're going to max out. So if you got a $4 or $5 million budget, you'll probably want to look elsewhere because that's typically where they max out around in that area. But a lot of the housing you're going to get down in that lower price range, $300,000-$400,000. Most of it's going to be dated housing. Now, it's going to be move-in ready, and you could get into that, but it also really depends on your taste and what you want to do. So if that's the case, likely if you get something in the lower price points, it's going to need to be updated. It's probably going to take a little work to do that, a little elbow grease, or you hire somebody to do it. But overall, not too bad. All right, so it's still kind of a newer community, but you have some of those homes built in the 50s and 60s and 70s and 80s and haven't really been touched much there. You've got a lot of the older residents that will live there and they're staying put just because that's where they've been. But as they move out or move up or downsize or things like that, those homes are coming available, and that's what you're seeing on the market in the $300,000-$400,000 range. Probably going to need some work. Now, once you get up there, you are going to have a lot of homes built within the last 5 to 10 years in Allen, and so most of those are going to be pretty much good to go, move-in ready, mostly updated, probably, unless it's just not to your aesthetics or something that you like. But overall, considerably, I would say, below average property tax rates. That is a good thing for Allen compared to the rest rest of the Metroplex. Usually 2.5 to 2.8, 2.9% is what we typically see. Allen being closer to the 2.3 range. So you do have a little bit there. And of course, don't forget about your homestead exemption. If you got veteran exemptions, if you got senior exemptions, and there are some senior communities up there as well. Allen's again smaller. It's 100,000 compared to Frisco at 200,000. McKinney, I think, is somewhere around 200,000. Prosper and Salina, they have to grow into that, but they're going to grow into multiple hundreds of thousands of people in population. So, Allen is still kind of that smaller community in the North Dallas area, in that Collin County area. That is a pro for that, I would say. If you want something a little bit more condensed, closer together, you're not driving all over the place. Frisco, you got a lot of ground to cover. Plano, you got a lot of ground to cover, and you could live on the west side or the east side, and you're going to have probably a 30-minute drive to kind of cross over that. And Allen's probably cut that in half, 15, 20 minutes if you want to get from one side to the other. But again, 75 splits it right in the middle. You got everything you need right along 75, easy access to downtown, easy access to Frisco, to McKinney, historic downtown, one of my favorite areas as well. So overall, when you look at the good and the bad, I would say Allen pretty much weighs heavily on the good side. I mean, come on. I think an area is always what you make out of it, whether how you look at it. Of course, I think there's good. I've lived all over the place in Dallas, and I've also ventured off a couple of other places in my time out of state, but I've always came back just like a good boomerang does. So I know where my home is, but otherwise, I think Allen's pretty cool. Affordable housing there still in place, newer amenities, a lot of the new development going on there, especially in the commercial area. You've got that going for it, and a ton of shopping. So if you're having any trouble controlling your shopping, then Allen may not be the place for you. But hopefully you found this helpful. Again, leave us a comment. Let us know what you like about Allen. If you live there now, or if you have lived in Allen before, let us know your thoughts. What would you say is the good? And what would you say is the bad? Now, be nice, all right? If you're going to talk about the bad, try to give a little bit of positivity in there. Let's not completely bash it out, right? But let us know, what are your favorite areas? What do you like? What do you not like? And that helps out other people that are looking at Allen or watching this video to gather that information for themselves. So as we mentioned before, my name's Levi, and whether you're moving in 9 days or 90 days, feel free to give us a call, shoot us a text, or send us an email, or schedule a Zoom call, all in the description below. And until next time, well, we hope to show you around town.